That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Nocturne, the directorial debut of Zu Quirke, which
so loud. Okay.
which premiered on Amazon Prime October 13th, 2020. It is part of the second set of titles released in the Welcome to the Blumhouse package. In this month, there will altogether 4 titles. There will be 4 more next year.
This story was very basic. It is about 2 sisters.
Very basic and kind of derivative, but that there are some positive things.
Yes, but I'm going to try to tell the story quickly
Okay.
because I think it's simple. 2 sisters, Vivian and Juliet.
Yeah.
Vivian's kind of the star, and Juliet's like the run. But they
And-
both go to a music academy.
And they're fraternal twins.
Oh, they are fraternal twins.
Yes.
That's right. Fraternal twins. They are like music prodigies, kind of. But Vivian is the star. She's prettier. She's more successful at music. She's been accepted into Juilliard
Early.
Juliet is also talented, but, clearly not the star. So they are wrapping up the school year with like a recital. Like they have a big performance.
Yeah.
And Vivian is going to be like the key sort of.
The concerto solo. Well, they have to compete for. So the beginning is Moira is the concerto soloist who kills herself. So that leaves that space open.
Yes.
So they have to, the competition that she won to secure that slot, they're redoing that competition.
That's right. So the Juilliard sister Vivian gets the spot.
Yes, she does.
Or Vivian gets the spot. Juliet decides that, because she's also performing at this recital, she's going to play the same song her sister's playing. So that ruffles some feathers.
In the competition to get that slot, yes.
Yes. Oh, right. So they have issues. Why am I messing this up? It sort of hits or comes to a head when all of the students are out in the desert partying, and Vivian's boyfriend makes a pass at Juliet. And Vivian catches it. She's pissed. They start running. And somehow, because we don't see it, it's off camera, Vivian falls off a cliff and injures her hand. So now she can't perform. And the school decides to give that performance to Juliet. So the night of the performance, Juliet goes to perform, and a few things happen. Initially, she walks out and sits at the piano and freezes for a long time and then gets up and walks away. And then it appears she's having a panic attack. But then once the panic attack is over, we hear the audience clap and she's sitting at the piano. Like she must have done an amazing job while she was having a panic attack in her mind. But then it ends with her, we see that she jumped off the roof just like the girl in the beginning. And she's dead. The end.
Her dying thoughts. It's also important to note that a major mechanism is, because it's a very Faustian tale of selling your soul to get ahead. Because Moira, who killed herself in the beginning, Juliet mysteriously acquires her notebook. And within that notebook, there are all kinds of weird incantations and illustrations that show kind of a descent into hell, if you will, with lots of, I think, Tartini's The Devil's Trill is one of the musical pieces in this notebook. But because she acquires it, she starts to have these supernatural elements around her.
Yeah, that is an important point that I thought, that component really was lost on me.
Right, and I think that's where the film really kind of fails, is it's very derivative in the suspenseful moments but when it focuses kind of on Juliet, played by Sweeney, who I really liked. She kind of had this Billie Eilish vibe about her.
Juliet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did really like her, and I think when it focuses on, because she's taking these pills for performance anxiety.
She's taking propranolol, yeah.
And the more we learn the fact that she was the one that desired to be musical as a child. So she's almost like, she had the trajectory of what a prodigy would be, but is not a prodigy. It's clear that her music teacher, Roger, played by John Rothman from Ghostbusters and Copycat, is grooming her to be a teacher.
That's right.
To which she rebels against, and he slaps her, and he gets fired, and then she finagles her way into her sister's teacher, Ivan Shaw, who is also kind of a highlight of the film. He's an insecure. Yeah. When we focus on her and the pressure she's under, that's what makes it most interesting. But also that's kind of derivative because it's a little bit like a poor man's Black Swan.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's a subgenre unto itself of evil music schools, blah, blah, blah. Suspiria, of course, comes to mind. I just didn't think this really had anything new to say.
No, it didn't. I also didn't quite understand. So, what really doesn't help are the parents of these twins.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I appreciate the Juliet feeling animosity towards Vivian because Juliet's the more. Because even one of the teachers explains, like, technically you're more talented than your sister, but your sister's a star. Like, she checks the boxes, so that's why she's up here and you're down here. So I can see why she has the animosity, but then their parents don't seem interested in...
Which Julie Benz is the mom, which is kind of an interesting throwaway role. But yeah, they're kind of presented as tasteless rubes.
Yes.
Like, they don't care.
Yeah, they have money, they don't care. They leave, like, while the kids are at prep school, like, they're, like, in Europe. Because when the incident happens when Vivian hurts herself, and then they're talking to Julia, she's like, yeah, we can't get a hold of your parents. Oh, because my parents are, like, in Europe. It just seems like, where is all this pressure? Because she, that's where the Notebook comes in and why, maybe that evil presence is what drove her to jump off the roof. But I just didn't feel like all the stress and pressure. Like when I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking of Black Swan or Suspiria.
Yes, that is
it's palpable. Like
the parental figure, like Barbara Hershey, of course, and Black Swan.
Yeah.
Like all of those things make psychological sense. A couple points that I wanted to make is, I think it's Ivan Shaw's the one that tells her that you're technically more proficient, but she's the star. It reminded me a little bit of Tanya Harding, is that if you don't have the look, the gatekeepers will never let you ascend to what your talent otherwise would convey. God, I forgot the other point I was... they don't even... The psychological portrait of all the characters is a little bit off, and especially with fraternal twin sisters. They don't ever read as sisters, they read as kind of frenemies. And in fact, it's kind of like, it's how you'd expect, what I kept going to in my mind is how, Girl Interrupted was a labor of love for Winona Ryder, but Angelina Jolie got all the attention. Oh. And how you'd expect those two women to kind of behave towards one another. But also, a fleeting moment in this is they mentioned, it's with the parents and Ivan Shaw talking about how nobody listens to classical music anymore, like what kind of success are our daughters really going to have anyway. And that's another important point that I think should be touched on more in these kind of films, that it's a dying cultural tradition, these musical academies. And
the little speech he gives I thought was...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And who consumes these. But, if we're going to talk about that, the Austrian literature has had the stranglehold on depicting this dying culture for decades, because if you think of Elfriede Jelinek's The Piano Teacher. So, in my mind, if Suspiria is the Jelinek version of this subgenre, then Nocturne is kind of like Ernst Weiss's Franziska, which is a novel about a pianist who's really not any good, but ruins herself trying to do kind of what this girl's doing. Anyhow, I like the subject. I like the subgenre. To me, there's a lot to talk about. It's just that I wanted it to be more than it is. That said, I really liked the sound design.
Yes.
The score by Gazelle Twin, which is a woman named Elizabeth Bernholtz. Really liked that. Mm-hmm. You said it looked cheap in previous conversations.
Not the like the set or production quality. It's like that filter that a lot of these films have, where it almost looks like it's like muted, like dark.
Sure.
Like there's a shadow over it, and I think
Carmen Cabana shot it, who's done a lot of television work, including the High Fidelity and Narcos series. There were elements of this that I really liked. There's that one shot of the doorway in her pupil, in Juliet's pupil. There are things that I liked there, but it's like, I don't know whether it was budgetary constraint or not. They really didn't go down a fantastical visual presentation. Yeah.
Well, the battery's low. What would you give this film?
I would give it 2.5 out of 5.
I would give it 2.5 out of 5 as well. Thank you.
Thanks.